Hey guys, what's up? It's the Pajama Pants Player, the best in the world. It's John Grande, live in 11 color, here with you on this beautiful, snowy Monday afternoon. Hell, I could even show you how exactly snowy it is. Snow on the shrubbery. My neighbors are going to think I'm a peeping Tom. I'll stop this. I didn't think that through, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to give anybody motion sickness. I think the camera's good. Alright, sorry if I'm a little off center, I apologize. But the weather and the atmosphere that's in the air has given me the inspiration to do my number 3 horror film of all time on the list. And without further ado, in my opinion, if I was to give a movie a stamp of approval, or, you know, a little asterisk, or, you know, if my quote was on the DVD's cover, which will hopefully one day could happen, but I don't think it ever will, I would write that it's the best, it's the most well-directed horror film of all time. I know I have 2 films higher than this, but I think when it comes in terms of directing and the job as being a director, I do not think there's a film that surpasses this one in the horror genre. And without further ado, it is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, The Shining. I know this one's probably kind of predictable if you know me well. You know, I'm sure numbers 1 and 2 will be pretty predictable too, especially number 1. You know, I hope I can fool some people with number 2. I won't even give any hints. I just hope I can surprise somebody and go, oh, I couldn't, but you'll be able to know. You'll be able to tell, because there's 2 movies that are noticeably not on this list already that will be, you know, but enough about me and more about Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. This is a movie that, you know, first and foremost, Stanley Kubrick was able to set an atmosphere and a tone in. You know, it basically tells the story of it tells the story of Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson, the great Jack Nicholson, and he basically gets this job as the winter caretaker at this hotel called the Overlook Hotel, and he brings his wife and kid along, and he's basically supposed to look it over for the winter while it snows and all that good stuff, and basically they start seeing some crazy goddamn shit, like his son is seeing these creepy little twin girls, and Jack Nicholson is seeing these, you know, beautiful women getting out of a bathtub that turn into these hideous looking old women. And is any of this explained? Not really. I mean, we get a little bit of backstory on like how this previous caretaker named Charles Grady, you know, killed his wife and kids with an axe and stuff like that, and you know, all that stuff is really, really good, and that's kind of Stephen King's presence in the film, because Stephen King did write the novel The Shining, which I have also read, and I also think is very interesting, very good book, but I don't know, I'm kind of on the Kubrick side when it comes to that kind of war, like, because Kubrick understood how to make movies, like, all due respect to Stephen King, but Kubrick understood how to make things better. Like I've read A Clockwork Orange, the book. Great book by Anthony Burgess. I would totally recommend it if you haven't read it. But he made A Clockwork Orange, the film, that much better because he could bring it to life. He could bring performances out of people. He could add stuff like that singing in the rain scene in A Clockwork Orange that, like, no author could ever think of. I mean, that was just brilliant, brilliant stuff. They actually went and bought the rights to Singing in the Rain just to put it in a goddamn a brutal rape scene. Like, and like, who would think of that? Only a sick guy like Stanley Kubrick would think of something like that. But, I mean, just the tone in the movie as well. Like, there are scenes where the little boy Danny is riding around on his tricycle, and he's going from carpet to hardwood, and it's just like, you know, you hear the wheels on the hardwood, but you don't hear them on the carpet. And it's just, I don't know, something as simple as that, something as simple as a 6-year-old child riding his fucking tricycle around the Overlook Hotel from carpet to hardwood, it just creeps you out. It just builds another block atop the wall of tension. And that's what I love about this movie, is that it builds. It's a slow burn. It's really, really, it is slow. Like, people can't get over how slow it is sometimes. And I know that this movie is very controversial in and of the fact that some people really don't see this movie as a great horror film. And I respect those people. I understand their point of view. But I always thought this was a great movie. And nobody told me, oh, The Shining is great, and then I watch it and say, oh, I agree. You know, I feel like too many people do that nowadays. It's like, oh, everybody said The Babadook was great. Oh, okay, I'm going to watch it and say it was great. Like people should let themselves, like, I don't feel enough people in general, not even just the horror community, can sometimes draw their own conclusions. And like, but this is a movie I think that, you know, a lot of people do and don't. You know, I guess that goes with everything, but never mind about that. There's just some great oh man, scenes in this movie, like Jack Nicholson's this, this alcoholic writer, and he hasn't had a drink in a while, and he's writing the book, and, his wife, played by Shelley Duvall, who is awful in the film, I will say that, she comes over, and she's like, what do you want for dinner, hon? She's like, oh, the snow's coming in tomorrow, hon. And there's this scene, and he's like so irritated at her, he starts ripping up pieces of paper, he goes, when you hear this, and he's typing, and he goes, you're distracting me. It's oh my God, like, it is so freaking scary and out of nowhere and just crazy. I mean, Jack Nicholson was able to reach that unreachable brass ring in this movie. I mean, is he playing Jack Nicholson? Absolutely he's playing Jack Nicholson, but who doesn't love Jack Nicholson playing Jack Nicholson? I mean, watch One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He's playing Jack Nicholson. He's not playing fucking R.H.P. McMurphy, whatever. He's playing Jack Nicholson. Like, he kind of made his life playing himself. Like that, over-the-top crazy character with the great laugh, smile, and, eyes. Like, he's kind of one of those actors that can resonate and almost carry a film, but I don't know if he really, I mean, I've heard reviewers say that, and obviously I'm jumping all over the place, but if you haven't seen The Shining, I don't really want to go through a, shot-by-shot explanation. Oh, in this scene, this happens. Like, I feel like we've seen The Shining. Like, at least I hope you have. I've heard reviewers say that Jack Nicholson doesn't lead you into the maze at the end as he should, like as well as he could have. He doesn't lead us as an audience into the maze of tension when he's trying to chop his son in half with an axe. And I absolutely think that reviewer is a stupid idiot, in the quotes of Chris Jericho, to quote the great Chris Jericho. It's just unbelievable that somebody could say that, because he's great in this film. I mean, the bar scene, that classic bar scene where he's, hi Lloyd, a little slow tonight, and he starts laughing, and then all of a sudden this bartender appears, and he's dealing him drinks, and you set him up, I'll knock him down, and some of the lines in this movie, just really good stuff. In the scene where he walks into the ballroom, and all the fucking people are there just smoking and drinking and laughing like fuck, and, they're playing that creepy 1920s music. Just all these scenes were just great. And people say, oh, it doesn't make the greatest sense, that there's a twist at the ending, and there's these, twists and turns that don't make sense. But it's not always about making sense in horror. Like, I think that's a number one thing that people don't understand. Like, do I like my movies to make sense? Absolutely. I'm just like the next guy. Like, I really do enjoy my horror movies to make sense. But if you look at Dario Argento's career, did any of his movies really make the utmost sense? I mean, no, because he was able to tell a story through visuals. He was able to tell a story through the camera, through facial expressions, through vibrant colors. And Kubrick does that a lot in this movie as well. He really kind of just takes the idea that Stephen King wrote down, and he makes his own thing with it. He makes this creepy-ass movie that, like, you don't know what's going on. I actually got the privilege to see this in the theater a couple months ago. TCM re-released it in the theater. And, I mean, seeing it in the theater with a crowd, it was just so surreal, man. I mean, just, it's just the best directed horror film of all time. Like, I can't think of a horror film that's better directed than this one, because Kubrick really got it. Kubrick understood that, like, okay, I have to escape from Barry Lyndon, which was a really boring movie, a good visual movie, but really boring. I have to go all out. I cannot hold anything back, and he doesn't hold anything back with this movie. I think it's absolutely perfect. I would not change anything about this movie. I know people have their problems with it, but it's just always resonated with me. I mean, there's just so many things to like about it. The creepy scene where Jack Nicholson goes into room 237, I'm sorry. And he, that hot chick comes out of the bathtub, he makes out with her, and then she turns to this scaly old lady laughing at him. And then he sees his wife, and she's like, did you find anything? He's like, didn't see a damn thing, Like, there are some scenes where you're like, what the hell? He just made out with this disgusting, deformed old woman, and, like, he's just like, no selling, like, oh, no, nothing happened. And the scene, of course, with the bear giving the guy the blowjob, like, that Shelley Duvall sees, that's the only thing she sees. And, when he's chasing her around, and, I'm gonna bash your brains in, I'm gonna bash them right the fuck in! Like, just, wow, like, this movie really, really goes for the jugular vein, and I think it absolutely hits that artery, man. Like, this movie is perfect. I really would not change a thing about it, as I said. I love The Shining. It's a great time. And I really do think that it's a horror classic, and I think this movie will be talked about 100 years from now, 200 years from now. I really don't think this movie will ever be forgotten. I think Jack Nicholson's performance, I think Stanley Kubrick's direction, the atmosphere, the tone, the fact that a lot of it doesn't make the greatest of sense, you know, the musical cues in the movie, the score of the movie, you know, the little boy's performance and Red Rum and going from carpet to hardwood, like, just so many things going for this movie. It's weird, it's quirky, it's atmospheric, and it is well deserving of being my number 3 favorite horror film of all time. Well deserved there. That was Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, and you know, I just like it's just movies like this. Like, I know people are kind of like, you know, so you'll have one guy say, oh, it's one of the greats of all time, and then you'll have one person go, oh, it's overrated, makes no sense. So, I don't know. I'm on that far left, I guess, of that extreme, because I just have always really loved the film, really enjoyed it, and I figured on a day like this, you know, it'd be perfect to review, but that's going to be all for today, ladies and gentlemen. When I come back the next time, it'll be the number 2 horror film of all time. I'm almost positive that everybody that's watching these will know what number 1 is, if you even know me a little bit. But I'm hoping number 2 can maybe surprise some people. Who knows? You know, I'll kind of play craps on that one. But that's going to be all for now, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. I am the Pajama Pants Player. I am the best in the world. I am John Grande, and I will see you guys later. Peace.